What happens when paradise forgets its people? In a state known for beauty and billion-dollar tourism, thousands sleep under tarps while ski resorts shine above them. Why? Raina used to clean hotel rooms. Now she survives on street trades and fentanyl fumes. Her story is one of many, raw, real, and terrifyingly ignored.
I love this city, but they got a lot of demons too. With the open air drug market, I mean, if you got that addicted personality, it's real easy to fall victim. Get sucked into the cycle. Hard to get out, especially with the fentanyl.
In this documentary by Roamkind, we go inside Colorado's unseen Inferno. It's not about the mountains, it's about the men and women left behind in their shadow. Stay with us. What you're about to see might change the way you look at every clean city street. Number 1. Housing crisis. Denver is booming. Coffee shops are everywhere. Tech bros are buying kombucha by the crate. And yet, right around the corner, someone is building a home out of tarps, duct tape, and borrowed time. This isn't some rare exception. It's a citywide contradiction. Colorado, the so-called startup state, has become a place where a full-time job might not buy you a mattress, let alone a studio apartment. Rent in Denver has increased by over 60% in the past 10 years, while wages, they're doing the limbo, barely budging. So what happened? Gentrification, mostly. Urban renewal used to mean fixing potholes. Now it means replacing entire communities with yoga studios and $7 lattes. People who grew up in these neighborhoods are watching their zip codes turn into luxury hashtags, while they pack their lives into storage units and minivans. And here's the kicker. Colorado has no statewide rent control. That means cities can't legally force developers to include affordable units. So, what do we get instead? High-rises, rooftop pools, and more people living in their cars, sleeping outside of Whole Foods. Does it feel fair? Does it feel sustainable? Developers argue that they're meeting demand. But what about the demand for dignity? What about a city that works for everyone, not just the ones who can afford it? People are doing their best. Teachers, baristas, single moms. They're holding down 2, sometimes 3 jobs, and still, they're priced out, pushed out, or locked out. Some sleep in shelters, others on sidewalks, all under the same sky as penthouses that sit empty half the year. Here's the truth. Housing is not just about buildings, it's about belonging. And until we treat it that way, we're not solving a crisis, we're just painting over it with high-end finishes. Have you ever seen a tent pitched on a sidewalk and thought, how did it come to this? Now you know. Number 2. Addiction and mental illness. They call it self-medication. But what if the prescription is poverty and the side effect is a needle? Walk through Denver's back alleys or underpasses and you'll meet ghosts with names. Men who used to build homes, now sleeping behind dumpsters. Women like Diver, who once stocked shelves at a grocery store and now clutches a crack pipe like a lifeline. This isn't about bad choices, it's about systems that offered none. In Colorado, fentanyl is cheaper than therapy and easier to get. A single hit can cost $10, less than a burger combo. A bottle of antidepressants? You need ID, an address, and a doctor's note. Guess which one's more accessible when you live in a tent?
This is the hub. This is where all the drugs come to for further distribution throughout the United States, most likely into the Northeast Corridor.
Addiction doesn't walk in alone. It holds hands with PTSD, depression, anxiety. People on the street don't just carry backpacks, they carry trauma. Veterans, assault survivors, teens who never had a real home. Many started young. Some were offered pills at 10 years old. Not candy, not hugs, just pills. Take Mitchell, for instance. After a car crash at 22, he got painkillers. By 26, he was injecting heroin. Now he's 37, toothless, and invisible to most. How do you get clean when the clinic's full and the shelter's closed? When your only warm place is a pipe? There's no easy way back when the path is lined with closed doors. And the kicker? Services exist, but they're buried in red tape. Mental health centers are stretched thin. Detox beds are booked for weeks. Volunteers do what they can. But the homelessness crisis isn't a side quest. It's the whole damn game. In the absence of therapy and shelter, crack becomes comfort. And the street, a psychiatrist with no mercy. If crack pipes are cheaper than therapy, maybe the system needs therapy too. Comment, no choice, if this hits you. The next part reveals what happens when childhood ends on the sidewalk. Don't blink. This gets personal. Number 3. Denver's downfall. Denver once felt like a handshake of opportunity, I say. Voice low. But now, it's more like that shiny glass wall you bang your head against. That's the Denver's downfall in a nutshell. This city boomed, hotels and condos ripped through old neighborhoods, and rent climbed like it was training for Everest, 60% surging in 10 years. You got tourists sipping lattes by day and tent cities forming in alleyways by night. No water, no heat, just cold asphalt and colder hearts. The growth without humanity is real. Developers don't see families, they see dollar signs. They build luxury units next to boarded-up homes. Rent check goes up, and suddenly, folks who've lived there a decade can't even scrape together rent. Now they're sleeping in cars, sharing blankets, or surviving day-to-day in colder shadows. And the gentrification on overdrive, oh, it's a spectacle. You walk down a street, and 3 houses are bulldozed one day, 3 hip cafes pop up the next. The old neighbors, gone. Replaced by faces that don't know their names. It's like swapping flavors in your favorite dish, but forgetting all about the spices that made it good. Here's where it gets dangerous. Tent encampments with no bathrooms, no trash pickup, no heating. A frostbite nightmare waiting to happen. People get sick, they get weak, they don't survive. And what about urban diseases? Fentanyl, horse tranquilizers, designer drugs pouring into these camps. Combine that with rising petty theft and violence, and suddenly the dream is looking more like a nightmare. But hold up, let me ask you this. Have you walked past one of those camps? Did you see the faces, hear the stories, feel the chill that not even your jacket can keep out? Or did you scroll on thinking, that's someone else's problem? Denver's downfall isn't just a headline. It's real people losing their beds to profit. It's city planners forgetting the soul they're meant to serve. And you know the scary part? We're on a fast track. Without a shift in planning, without affordable housing baked right in, those camps won't shrink. They'll spread. If Denver's booming skyline is casting more shadows than light, what does that tell us about any city shooting for growth? Number 4. The fall of a rock star. Ethan Caldwell once had fans screaming his name. Packed bars, sold-out gigs, a voice that could make heartbreak sound like a summer anthem. That was the early 2000s. Now, he's in a tent, next to a shopping cart, on a frozen sidewalk just off Colfax Avenue. Ethan's fall wasn't sudden. It wasn't a scandal. No mugshots or headlines. Just life. Slow and relentless. A divorce that gutted him. A younger brother lost to an overdose. Nights turned into months. Months turned into years. Depression crept in like smoke and stayed. Fentanyl came next. Then he lost the apartment, then the car, then the couch at a friend's place. Now he sleeps in what locals call Tent City. Winter hits hard in Colorado. The canvas is thin. The air is mean. You don't fall asleep, he says. You just wait for morning and hope you're still breathing. Sometimes volunteers come by with soup and thick socks. That's when he smiles, just barely. It's the only time I feel human, he told us. The rest of the day, he drifts like fog, forgotten by a city that once cheered for him. His story isn't rare. It's just quieter. We love a comeback, but we rarely watch the slow unravel. Ethan's tale is proof that homelessness crisis doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't check your resume. One wrong turn, an injury, a layoff, a broken heart, and you're out there too. What if it were you? Would your savings last a month, a week? What's your backup plan when hope runs out? Some say Ethan should just get a job, but try that without an ID, without an address, without a shower. The system's tight, cold, like the pavement he calls home. High taxes and gentrification might build new coffee shops, but they don't rebuild broken people. Yet there's a flicker. Ethan plays his guitar when the weather allows. He sings quietly, mostly for himself. Sometimes a kid listens, sometimes a stranger stops. In those rare moments, he's not a bum. He's a man, a musician, still breathing, still here. Some stars burn out. Others are smothered by snow, needles, and silence. Ethan's story is both a warning and a mirror. Number 5. Abuse and trafficking. On the street, a bed isn't safety. Sometimes it's the trap. That's the world Marcy lives in. A 37-year-old woman who once worked in a hotel laundry near Colorado Springs. One wrong relationship, one eviction notice, and suddenly the streets became her home. At first, Marcy thought she had found shelter. A man with a pickup offered a ride and a room. What she got instead was a mattress in a storage unit and a debt she never agreed to. Sex became currency, not for survival, but because there was no exit. Trafficking doesn't always look like a van and a blindfold. Sometimes it's just silence. In tent camps outside Aurora, women speak in whispers. They know who not to look at. Some carry mace. Others just carry trauma. It's hard to count how many are being coerced, because there's no hotline when your phone was pawned for food. And even if there was, would they call? Police rarely intervene. When they do, it's usually for petty charges, not the predators. Reports don't get filed. Stigma shuts mouths before the first sentence. Marcy tried once, but walked out of the precinct in under 10 minutes. I didn't sound like a victim, she said. Who decides what a victim is supposed to sound like? Meanwhile, gangs thrive in the gaps. They know who's undocumented, who's underage, who has no ID, no name, no record, no trail. Just another soul slipping through cracks as wide as highways. So what now? How do we protect people like Marcy? Is it about better shelters, stronger laws, or maybe, finally, believing the women who've learned to stop talking? When no one protects you, survival becomes negotiation. That's not just a line. It's the reality too many live every day. But you can be the difference. Speak, vote, volunteer, or at least ask. What if it was your sister? What if survival meant silence? What if no one believed you? If Marcy's story moved you, comment "Every voice matters" below. Let's not stay silent. And before we go further, take 10 seconds to hit subscribe and support Roamkind. More stories, more truth, more voices that need to be heard, coming your way. Number 6. Homeless children. They're not runaways, they're survivors. Kids who know the difference between a siren and a lullaby before they learn multiplication. And yes, they're living this nightmare right here in America. Ever seen a 10-year-old smoke weed like it's lunch break? Or trade shoes for ramen noodles? That's not fiction. It's Thursday, under the bridge on Colfax. These aren't just lost kids. They're the frontline victims of a homelessness crisis that nobody wants to talk about during school board meetings. So how do children end up on the streets? Family breakdowns, addiction at home, violence behind closed doors. Some run to escape it. Others are pushed out. Once they're on the street, it gets worse, fast. Many homeless kids are under 15 years old, some barely out of elementary school. No IDs, no documents, no shot at enrolling in school or getting medical help. Just pure invisibility in a system that doesn't have a lost and found section. And here's the quiet part. No one likes to say out loud, these kids are valuable to the wrong people. Traffickers love a ghost. No paperwork, no trace. Some children are used to run drugs, others for sex. They're offered drugs before they're offered food. Control is easier when the victim is high and scared. Where are the safety nets? Colorado has almost no youth-specific shelters. No formal system to reintegrate these kids into society. Most help comes from volunteers, if any. And the few programs that do exist? Overcrowded, underfunded, or only open weekdays from 9 to 5. Because homelessness apparently clocks out on weekends. Is this a side effect of poverty, of policy gaps, of people looking the other way? Probably all three. But here's the bottom line. Kids are not supposed to know how to survive a winter night alone. They're supposed to worry about pop quizzes, not predators. Every child sleeping on concrete is a failure of planning, compassion, and basic human decency. And every day we wait to fix it is a day too long. Number 7. Government efforts. You'd think throwing $24 million at a problem would solve something. But Colorado's homelessness crisis seems to eat funding like it's candy on Halloween. It disappears fast, and the streets still look the same. After the pandemic, the state jumped into action. Emergency housing funds, tiny shelter programs, a fresh project on California Street worth $46.5 million. On paper, it sounds like movement, like progress. But homelessness doesn't read policy papers. It doesn't file neatly into Excel sheets. It lives in tents that collapse under snow. It screams in ER waiting rooms. It paces all night because sleeping outside in winter can mean never waking up. Yes, the government is trying. But let's be honest, it's hard to fix a flood with buckets when the pipe is still broken. Funding is often short-term, reactive, or so entangled in red tape, it takes months just to get started. Meanwhile, people can't wait. Hunger doesn't pause for paperwork. Still, not all hope is lost. Non-profits are out there grinding every day. Salvation Army, Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, dozens more. They offer hot meals, detox beds, transitional housing, and even mobile medical care. Some staff know the streets firsthand. They've lived it. That builds trust. It keeps people coming back. And sometimes it's the only reason they survive another week. But here's the real kicker. Even the best efforts feel like a cup of water in a wildfire. Because without long-term housing, without mental health infrastructure, without real coordination across agencies, we're just spinning wheels. Thousands still sleep outdoors, and winter in Colorado isn't known for mercy. Why the gap? Is it just about cash? Or are we missing the will to redesign the system from the ground up? To stop patching potholes and start rebuilding roads? Policy without follow-through is poetry in a burning house. Pretty words, zero shelter. Number 8. Volunteer action. Have you ever met someone who shows up to a disaster zone with nothing but a duffel bag and a heart too big for her coat? That's Lena Martell. She's not funded, she's not famous. She's a former waitress who got tired of handing out coffee while watching the regulars slowly disappear from their jobs, their homes, and their lives. So, she quit and started showing up with granola bars and dry socks, just like that. In a city where the homelessness crisis keeps growing like an unpaid tab, Lena's out there every Tuesday and Saturday, rain, snow, or heat wave. She doesn't post about it. She doesn't hashtag it. But she remembers names, birthdays, favorite snacks. She reminds people they're still human, even when the system forgets. Then there's Marco Hayes, a former mechanic who sold his toolbox to fund a mobile shower unit. True story. He crowdfunded a few $1,000s, installed a tank in an old trailer, and now drives around offering hot showers and clean towels. People line up, not because they want a freebie, but because for 10 minutes, they feel like a person again. Here's the thing. Volunteer action isn't about fixing the entire broken system. It's about fixing one cold hand at a time, one cracked lip, one, "Hey, you okay?" on a day when no one else asked. Lena and Marco aren't solving urban planning. They're patching the holes left behind by indifference. And you know what's wild? It's contagious. One woman starts a sock drive, and next week, someone else drops off 5 boxes of coats. One guy offers haircuts, and suddenly someone's hiring. It's not charity, it's a chain reaction. In a city strained by high taxes, housing crunch, and red tape, community is the real infrastructure. Let me ask you this. Who was the last stranger that showed up for you when no one else did? And have you ever done that for someone else? If you have, or you plan to, share it in the comments. Not because we need applause, but because we need reminders. All right, now it's your turn to give. Not money, just words. Drop Shower Squad if Marco inspired you, or Sock Queen for Lena. We've got more unsung heroes coming, so don't blink. Number 9. System fragmentation. No mailing address, no documents, no documents, no benefits, no benefits, no shelter. Welcome to the spiral staircase of American systems, built with good intentions, designed like a maze. Jordan is 38. He used to work night shifts at a printing facility in Pueblo. He paid taxes, fixed his own brakes, even coached Little League. Then came a layoff. Then his dad died. Then a breakup. It didn't all collapse in one night, but the dominoes fell fast. After losing his place, he stayed in his truck. Then his truck got impounded. Along with it, his ID, social security card, and work boots. Getting a new ID required proof of address, but he didn't have one. To get housing support, he needed that ID. It's like a cruel riddle wrapped in red tape. Jordan said, "I tried calling 3 different places. Each one told me to call the next. I felt like I was chasing a ghost version of myself. That ghost, him, just needed basic help. Instead, he found disconnected systems, digital portals that wouldn't load, and offices that closed at 3 p.m. sharp. This is how homelessness crisis survives, not just through poverty, but through fragmentation. Healthcare is one world, job programs another, ID services a third planet, and no one speaks the same language. Even when there's help, it doesn't reach fast enough. Wait lists, password resets, bus rides across town to stand in line for 4 hours, and every time Jordan tells his story, it's like starting over from zero. What if the systems could talk to each other? What if one caseworker could follow up across agencies? What if your story didn't have to be repackaged 10 times just to be believed? We say people fall through the cracks, but in truth, there is no flaw. And if we don't build one soon, we'll keep losing people like Jordan, quietly, invisibly, behind mountains of paperwork and silence. We don't lack kindness, we lack connection. And without connection, no system can truly serve. Number 10. Legal walls. In a country built on freedom, it's strange how zoning laws decide who gets to sleep indoors. No joke, your ability to find shelter can hinge on city codes written decades ago by people who never imagined a homelessness crisis this deep. Here's the twist. In Colorado, it's actually illegal for cities to enforce rent control. That's right. Even if a neighborhood is drowning in displacement, local governments can't require developers to build affordable units. A court decision back in 2000 said it violated free market rules. So instead of solving the problem, we wrapped it in red tape. So what happens? Developers build high-rises, tenants get buyout offers, families pack up, and people with nowhere to go? They end up in tents, sometimes just blocks away from those shiny new condos. It's not evil, it's legal. But does that make it right? In 2024, Park Hill residents protested a hygiene camp planned near their homes. They said it would attract crime, lower property values, and change the character of their neighborhood. Fair, understandable, maybe. But if every community says, "Not in my backyard," where do people go? And then there's the math. Without rent control or zoning flexibility, cities can't build affordable housing fast enough. Developers focus on luxury because it sells, and state law says they don't have to do anything else. High taxes don't change that if the legal framework stays the same. Want change? It starts with state-level reform, the kind that lets cities respond to their actual needs. Maybe that means inclusionary zoning. Maybe that means letting people vote on housing priorities. Or maybe, just maybe, it means trusting cities to care for their most vulnerable. If cities can't build differently, people will keep dying the same. That's not fear, it's math. So what do you think? Should states give cities more power? Should communities say yes more often than no? Colorado, land of ski resorts, legal weed, and street camps you won't see in travel brochures. 14,000 people without homes isn't just a stat, it's a whole zip code. And when kids are part of it, that's not a plot twist, that's the main story. Here at Roamkind, we're not here to shock you, we're just flipping the map to show the other side. So tell us, how does a state rank as livable when thousands can't even find a place to live? Drop your thoughts, keep it sharp, keep it kind. This conversation doesn't end with the credits.